All right, so up next, we have Robin St.Clair. She is a priestess, a healer, a teacher, an author, and she's the CycleBreaker, whose desire is to initiate a movement that will awaken and guide consciousness leaders to acknowledge their soul's mission and activate their life's vision. I personally have been a part of many Wake Up Everybody sessions with Robin, where she helps me get my life together and helps me on my journey of being a CycleBreaker in my family. So today she'll be presenting on, she'll be leading us through the session called CycleBreaker, You Are the Light You Seek.
Thank you so much, Sister Nzinga. And hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be a part of this Juneteenth experience. Although Juneteenth was yesterday, I love being a part of something that is bigger than me. I love sharing the lesson of CycleBreakin, but also the message of breaking cycles. Because in this, let me introduce myself. My name, as she said, is Robin St.Clair. I also have several other names that affirm the truth of who I am. In my journey, in my walk through personal development, I've also acquired spiritual names that affirm my life's mission and the destiny that I am anointed and appointed to manifest in this lifetime. So my name in full is Ifasunle Efuntola Ayodele. I am a priestess, a Yoruba priestess. I am a teacher, a guide, a healer, and so many other things that fall underneath the umbrella of Robin Shari St.Clair. And the reason that I can stand tall and say, and affirm all of the different aspects of myself is because I've educated myself about myself when the quest for knowing what my purpose was came deep into my soul, like it landed deep into my heart. So I want to share a little bit with you all about what being a CycleBreaker means, what it is. But before I do, I would like to know if somebody can come on and just give me your idea of what a CycleBreaker means, whether you know how I define it or not. What do you hear when you hear CycleBreaker? Anybody? Okay, how about you, Kim Rogers? Yeah, you. When you hear CycleBreaker, what comes to mind, sis?
I just think, you know, I think of the quote, I think it might be Oprah, when you continue to do the same thing over again, you can't expect a different result. So to stop that cycle of doing, you know, something again and again and again, that's not working for you. And whatever that thing is, whether it be, you know, as a teacher, as an educator, or as a mom, or as a wife, you know, as a community person, you know, if you want to see change in what you're doing hasn't worked, then you got to break that cycle that you're in because you think it's right to get to somewhere new.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that. So I am going to share a couple of slides before we get deep into this conversation because I want you to see what I'm saying. So I'm very visual and hands-on, and I like to share my screen with you so we can just go through a little bit of what I believe CycleBreakin to be. So just bear with me 1 second. So again, I am Robin St.Clair, the CycleBreaker. That is how I affirm myself, and I affirm that you are the light you seek and that anybody can be a CycleBreaker. I just shared a little bit about me, but some of the things that I do in my work as a healer and as a CycleBreaker is help people to understand the truth of who they are, help them to understand their passion, help them to know that they are worthy of their own time, energy, and attention, and also help people to identify what's not working, because sometimes we know something's not working, but we don't always know how to identify what it is. In light of today being a celebration for Juneteenth, we often walk around individually not feeling free. We often walk around feeling like we're in shackles and we have become what other people tell us we should become. We act as though at times, some of us, that we don't know what direction to go unless somebody is guiding us or telling us what to do. And in the work that I do, I support people in being able to identify for themselves what their true desires really are. Once we know our desires, then we can move forward with power, passion, and presence rather than allowing ourselves to be pulled on a string. In this period of pandemic, I want everything that is going on in the world right now. I want you to relate everything that's going on in the world right now to your own individual lives. So our lives can be a pandemic and representation of a pandemic. You know, what's not working? Where are the breakouts happening in our lives? Where are the breakdowns? Who is being taken out because of this dis-ease of their mind, their body, their spirit, and their emotions? Also, when you think about the rallies that are happening right now, people's taking a stand. Where in your life are you taking a stand for yourself? Where in the life are you demanding justice for yourself, for the way that your life gets to go, the way you get to go in your life, the contract that you set with life when you first came here? Where in your life are you demanding that things turn out the way God would say it turns out, and then ultimately the way you would say it turns out, without giving your power over to people, places, things, items, substances? I want you to look at this as an individual journey that leads to the bigger journey. Because while we all have our own feelings, our thoughts, our ideas of what's happening out there, we are most impactful and most effective when we focus first on what's going on inside of ourselves, so that we can be present in being the demonstration of support, guidance, and blessings for other people. So in all things that I do, I set an intention first for myself and then for others. So I will read the intention statement of this particular workshop. It is my sacred intention to allow myself permission to be who I am destined to be in the world. I am ready and willing to transform. It is my most sincere and heartfelt intention to remember, that is to put back together, the disconnected parts of myself as I embrace, accept, and express new ways of being for my highest and my greatest good. Let it be so, and so it is. So I will move forward. CycleBreakers. So Kim Rogers gave us a beautiful example of what cycle breaking means to her, and I'm going to share some of the characteristics of CycleBreakers. CycleBreakers are healers, light workers, leaders, teachers, and Joe Schmo down the block, even him. CycleBreakers become the necessary interruption for what's no longer working. CycleBreakers are resilient alchemists. We as CycleBreakers do manifest, but it does not come without strife, without pain, without feeling. And sometimes that feeling is not good, so we get back up and manifest again. CycleBreakers educate themselves about themselves and grow from the wisdom of their experiences. CycleBreakers are powerful, authentic, and responsible leaders. Again, we're healers, light workers, leaders, teachers, and Joe Schmo down the block. Now, I want to pause here for a second because Educate is my 7-step healing modality. It's a process, and I want to share some of the acronyms that, some of the steps in it that will dictate what the acronym is. So the first step of the Educate module is to take a thorough examination of yourself. When we look inside of ourselves, when we go and we relate to our past, when we identify where we come from, the concept of Sankofa, we can now look at ourselves and realize that we, ourselves, are the common denominator of all of our life experiences, and we also have the power to choose how to move forward. We can choose to do the same things that we've been taught, or we can choose to make new choices. So the first step is examination, which correlates, for those of you who know, to the root chakra. And it focuses on stability, structure, trust. Family will be involved with the root structure and your ability to feel safe. The next step is desire. So in this picture, this woman is removing a mask from her face. I'm not sure how clear this is because I see the glare, but the tagline for the desire phase is, in order to live, I must first learn how to die. And Shoni just talked about death and rebirth. And in this description, DIE is also an acronym for desire, imagine, and expect. So when we have that faith of a mustard seed, that's the expect piece. But what we desire is from our heart, it's from our soul. And then we gotta imagine it to be so. And that's when the law of attraction kicks in. When we see it, we feel it, we hear it, we smell it. We use all of our senses to bring that thing to full fruition. And if you don't know what I'm talking about the law of attraction, imagine if you've ever wanted a bike or a pair of shoes or a car, anything that you've ever wanted. And all of a sudden, just because you're holding that in your consciousness, you wanted a new Jeep. You see that Jeep, somebody's driving it. You go on the highway and then again, you see something again. And you know, these things are coming present to you and for you because you're holding it in your consciousness. And that is how we attract what we want. And sooner or later you get it, or you kill off your dreams and you don't get it. So we have the choice to on how we want to move forward. The third step in the educate module is an understanding of yourself. And this lady looks like she has victory. She's standing on a mound. I call it a mound of shit. She's standing on a mound of shit because that could be all of her life experiences, right? But look at how the light is shining down on her, in her, through her, as her. We become light once we do the work. And in order to understand, you must first learn to understand. And she is now able to understand in all of the shit of her life, and she gets to win. So that's the third step. The fourth step, once we have taken a thorough look back at our lives or what created where we are, how we were created to be, we focus on our desires and what we want, the sacral chakra, how to bring about how to creatively bring about all of the things that we want. We then stand in our power through our solar plexus and understand what we can and what we cannot change in our lives. We then move to our hearts. And we begin to see our reflections in the world. We get to see ourselves as powerful, and we still get to look back at ourselves. You see how it's looking inside as it's looking at another. So the reflection that you see outside of yourself also sees themselves a certain way. And the tagline for communication is that heartfelt communication begins within. So we've done the work by examining ourselves and going back to look at who we are, why we are, and what we want. And now we get to communicate how we want to move forward and what support we need when we do that with others. From the heart, not the head, because we think our answers are up here, but they are in the head, they are in the heart. And then we can ask for what we want, and we can advocate for why we're worth it. So every hand reaching out is also a hand reaching up, and you know that's a reciprocal and a repetitive cycle. Asking for what you need, advocating for your worth, and then being able to turnkey that information to others so that we can teach people by example how to be, teach people how to treat us, teach people how to teach us, and teach people because we are being the example of what we want to see in the world. And the tagline for that is simply, be the example that you wish to see. As you learn, you grow. As you grow, teach. And finally, the seventh step of the program is enlightenment and empowerment. So we empower ourselves by choosing ourselves, choosing to do the work, choosing to educate ourselves about ourselves, and then choosing to turnkey the information and enlighten somebody else. And empower is another acronym. That's the way God speaks to me, through acronyms, to educate yourself, to motivate yourself, to be on purpose, to accept ownership, wisdom, enlightenment, and then reevaluate and make sure that you're still being the best you that you can possibly be. I cannot empower and enlighten myself and be impactful if I don't involve others. So that's why you see the hands involving other people. So I don't want to talk at you. I want whoever can come on screen to come on screen, and whoever would like to share with me about what you just heard and how you felt about what you just heard to come on. That's nobody. I got to call somebody out. All right, Benita, it's you. Y'all sitting there like roaches. I see you. I can see y'all. Even y'all with the closed cameras. I see you. Come on, sis. You're on mute, Benita. You're on mute.
There we go. I only heard the last part of it.
You only heard the last part of the whole educate module?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, how about when I say the word CycleBreaker to you, what does that term mean to you?
If you keep on doing the same thing, you'll keep on getting the same results.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying CycleBreaker.
Breaker.
So, yeah.
Do something different. Try something different.
Do something different. Okay. All right. Thank you. So I like engagement, and maybe you guys don't want, you ladies don't want to engage right now, but it's going to make me feel very good if I have more engagement from you. So I'm going to put the slide back up because I want to make sure that if nothing more that you get what my concept and my life work as a cycle breaker is about. So I said this page, and so here's an opportunity to take a look at yourself. So this is part of what we do in the examination phase. So I want you to look at the pictures and choose one that is speaking to you the most right now, and then share how and why it's speaking to you. And if nothing speaks to you, then I would like to know why that too. Give you a little time to look at all of the pictures.
Yeah, Robin, just as a response to your last question, what comes up when you think of CycleBreaker or when you say CycleBreaker? Cheryl from Facebook writes, breaking generational curses.
Thank you, Cheryl. Yep, that's what it is for me. Breaking generational curses. Yes. Thank you, Cheryl. So as Facebook can also participate in this piece, do any of these pictures speak to you? If so, or if not, why? So is anybody willing to respond?
I'll speak to picture number 20. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
And so oftentimes this might be something we see adults, and as an educator, I see it sometimes with some educators, and I feel it's my responsibility to speak up. But we know that, you know, giving disparaging remarks to young children, telling them to, and this is not just in the education world. So I see adults speaking about children in the neighborhood, or I see parents speaking to their children, or I see parents speaking to other people's children, you know, and giving them these negative thoughts. And those children hold those thoughts even when the adult goes away. And then they start thinking that they may be those things that were said of them. And there is some number, and please don't quote me on the number, but I think for every negative comment made to a child, there needs to be, I think, like 14 positive comments just to help overcome that one negative comment. And I think a lot of us can think of a time, I mean, I'm older, but I do recall a couple of times growing up where somebody has said something to me, and I can still feel that comment, you know, why can't you be more like your sister? You're so noisy or whatever, you know, and it just sits with you. And it makes our children feel poorly of themselves. And that's not how our children should feel.
I appreciate you sharing, and I appreciate the point of ownership, because as a cycle breaker, my role is also to be the interruption. And I did not want to interrupt your share, because in this climate that we're in right now, it is important that we show our compassion for others, but that very thing that lives inside of us that makes us compassionate to others' experience and have a passion for speaking out on it is because we ourselves have something to do with that. So I was going to ask you after you finished, how did that relate to your experience? But you definitely powerfully shared that, and I appreciate you for going to the place of ownership. Thank you. And I too have been, I have had words that didn't feel good come on to me that I have held on to in my adult life and believe that to be true about myself. So thank you for sharing, Kim. Anybody else want to share how anything else, is anybody on Facebook responding to any of the pictures in Zynga?
I don't believe I have any responses to the photo.
Okay.
Give me one moment.
Okay.
Paige Ryan says picture 20 also spoke to her, projecting our own feelings, beliefs onto others and continuing the cycles. Cheryl Williams says, I can't actively participate right now, but she's listening in.
Got it. Okay. So when I think of picture number 8, it is what I am creating for myself and for other women in empowering us as sisters, inspiring sisters to achieve. When I think of picture number 6, or when I reflect on picture number 6, I see that aspect of myself that knows that there is purpose and knows that there is more and is looking up for guidance. And so, you know, whether or not you can reflect on any of these pictures, that is the way you do that. Because there is not one thing that, one thing in the world that cannot be related to if we allow ourselves to be connected. That makes sense? Move forward. So you are the light that you seek. And any questions that you have, anything that you may have gone through in your life, you have the answers to it. The divine is working in you, through you, and as you. And there are some tools. So when you want to shift and when you want to break cycles in your life, the be do have model is the way to go. That is about shifting ways of being. So one person mentioned generational cycles, and I would love to dig into and dive into some generational pathologies, because that is the work that I do. And what's coming up for me is that you guys don't want to. So I am going to just go with my intuition and share with you what the Be Do Have model is about. And that is shifting your ways of being. So some people, many people are fearful to do personal development work. They are fearful because they don't want to re-experience the pain that came up for them. They are fearful because they may not like the way they show up. The way they've learned to survive. And they may call it living, but it's a way to survive because of what they experienced. They have learned to create, they created an aspect of themselves that is in survival mode. So they show up with masks on their face. They show up being chameleons, fitting in, going along to get along, and they show up in ways that are not aligned with their true and divine purpose. But when they shift their ways of being, when they choose to be powerful, when they make a choice to be authentic, when they make a choice to take a stand, when they make a choice to be a cycle breaker, that means that way of being is the driving force and not the trigger from the adverse situation that happened. Not the defense and not the shield, but the new way of being that becomes powerful for them and their driving force to move forward. Because once you move forward with whatever way you're choosing, power, authenticity, responsibility, being the cycle breaker, being the one, to get out, or however you want to use that term, then you can do whatever you want to do, because you're moving forward on the foundation of what you want rather than the defense of what you don't want. And once you are able to do the things that you really set out to do, those are the actions, then you can have everything that you want. Whatever you call forth in your life will be able to happen because of the way of being that you are choosing to exemplify in the world. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
So one tool that can be used when you are doing your genogram, when you're doing your personal development work and choosing to break a cycle, is the genogram. A genogram, we just finished a 2-part workshop on genograms. A genogram is a tool that can be used to tell you who you are, what your family pathology is, to identify your patterns of learned behavior, if any mental family patterns and values exist, to understand the specific emotional relationship patterns in your family. So if you were a product of domestic violence, I was, then chances are, because of the learned behavior, you will attract an experience of domestic violence in some way. So I went into every relationship with the idea that I'm gonna get you before you get me, because I did not want to get beat up. So I have literally put my hands on somebody, a man, when I was in a relationship because of an argument that I made up in my mind was going to lead to a fight. I have also projected anger onto situations that I was not taught how to navigate through. I wasn't taught how to not control, but how to be with my emotions and how to express how I felt, unless it was anger or happiness, right? And so I had to learn, educate myself about different ways to express my emotions so that it wasn't just happy, mad, angry, sad. I had to learn that for myself, because the emotional, we just weren't taught emotional language in my family. And then the religious or spiritual beliefs. There are some families who have a very religious background, and my family had a very religious background or not. And I see from spiritual eyes. I have a more spiritual perspective on life, and I too am a metaphysician. And so the way that I want to say get to God, and the way that I express my divine self is very different from the way my family does. The genogram helps you to see the family patterns, to embrace the generational pathologies. The pathologies are the stories of your family. If it's alcoholism, mental illness, anger, rage, whatever it is for you. And what's great about this genogram is that as you look at it, you are able to take a lot of the heat off of yourself in your own journey. And you're able to make wise choices as you move forward. And that becomes the stuff of cycle breaking. So just that share alone, I would like to hear from some people.
So yeah, Robin, from Facebook, Ayodele Farah Lee says, can we address CycleBreaker burnout? And then later shares, I want to step up, but am exhausted by the resistance of my surroundings, which causes a hopelessness. I overextend myself, but want to do something to break cycles.
I understand. So to Ayodele, that's my name as well, Ayodele. So Ayodele means joy returns. Joy comes home. So CycleBreaker burnout, that's a cute term, but we also, remember I said that we are resilient alchemists. So one of the breakdowns that happens with a CycleBreaker is that we want to, we're visionaries. So we can see the end at the beginning, and please ask Ayodele if this is resonating with her. But as CycleBreakers, we see the end at the beginning, and so we want to just jump over there and be at the end. We want the manifestation to show up and to be with us, and we want to be the people with the cape on to do it. just because we are the cycle breakers does not mean that we have to overexert, overcompensate, or get that cape, Ayodele. So I want to know from Ayodele how burnout shows up for her, because burnout shows up for me when I'm so committed to somebody else getting it, or I'm so committed to them getting it, or so committed to being that vessel that supports them on their journey. And everybody is at choice. And so it's not up to me to make the choice for, or to be right about somebody else's life. So is she sharing back what she meant by the burnout?
I think we'll probably give her a moment to respond to that specifically, but she also shared that she's agreeing with something that you said. She was ashamed for being vocal and constantly ignored.
Mm-hmm.
In intimate relationships, this comes up a lot. How do I not shut down or get aggressive?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would need to know a little bit more about that. But the way we show up, again, in the communication phase is heartfelt communication. So sometimes we will always attract who we are. And our reflections, our mirrors are going to show us just what we look like. So I have attracted several relationships that I cringe sometimes now when I think about what I attracted in my life. But that's where I was at the time. So who is Ayodele attracting, and what is the breakdown? Where does the breakdown lie? Because whatever the breakdown is, it's definitely about the other person, but we can only change ourselves. So we have to look at and accept ownership for that aspect of ourselves that becomes, that is part of the problem or part of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have a question, comment, concern about cycle breaking? No? Why y'all so quiet? Y'all know what a cycle breaker is, or y'all just like looking, let me see what else she got. Let's have a conversation. Stacy Mallory, how are you? I see you just came on. Hi, Stacy. Stacy don't want to come off of you. Yeah, tough crowd. Jeez. Inez?
Yes.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Everybody eating glute sandwiches.
Yes. I just got on myself not that long ago, but
I saw you when you came on.
But I am so fascinated in this because I'm thinking that there is some generational challenges that, of course, I've been through, and then I've learned that my mom went through it, and then my grandmother went through it, and I'm like, it's time to stop all of this. And I've been involved with some transformational work for the last few years, and it's like I'm peeling the layers, and now it's getting deeper and deeper and deeper, where I'm even feeling some things that maybe even my grandmother went through. Because when I did like a yoni steaming, I was like, oh my God, did she go through this? What?
That's good.
So it's like I can see this like on my mom's side, and then like even on my dad's side, it's like there's, and like when you spoke of religion, and I can definitely relate to that, because it's like they don't associate with me because I'm not in the religion that they're in. And I'm more so I'm a spiritual being. I'm in totally spirituality of everything, especially coming from my people. But the thing is, it's like they think it's weird, so they don't want to talk to you. I'm like, wait a minute, what's up here? But then I'm even going further back, because I'm finding out that on my dad's side, the lineage is Yoruba, and I found out I'm connected with that. I feel connected to it, and when and it came up when you spoke of that, of religion. And I was like, okay, it's time to break that cycle, because even one of my cousins said, oh, just let the other generation do it. I'm like, no, it starts with you.
Did they say that?
Yes.
You said let the other generation. Wow. Okay.
Yes. Let the other generation do it. I was like, no, it starts with you. It starts with me. It starts first with you taking the lead.
Yeah,
And
if it's meant to be, it's up to me.
That's
If it's
right.
meant, that is the CycleBreaker motto. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. Because you
That's
don't have
right.
to. And then just in response to your question about the genogram, Inez, yes, we just had a 2-part genogram workshop. We ended right before this workshop, right before this session. I
Yeah.
just finished the second part of it, and I will have it again because people are still asking for it. But in my opinion, the genogram is one of the most powerful ways for us to identify who we are, why we are, and how to move forward. We don't have to ascribe to the ways that no longer work for us. We don't have
Oh, I
to
know.
ascribe to the family patterns and ideas of who we are supposed to be. Like in my family, I was the good girl, the
Oh,
good
wow.
girl. So I got good grades. I got, I was cute. I was cute. I was just cute. I was the family good girl until I wasn't. My mother had me at 16 years old, so I got I had the advantage of having all of the family dote on me because my mom's siblings were also teenagers. My grandmother took me in as her 5th child, although she made my mother raise me. I still got the benefits of being like doted on, spoiled by other people. So when it came time for me growing up, I was very not just hesitant, but I was ashamed when I made mistakes. I felt guilty if I did something that went against what ever heard the saying, "We taught you better than that,"
Yeah.
or that's not how you were raised. Like those statements, those phrases would bring on feelings of guilt and shame for me. And I'm just being a kid. I'm just being a teenager. But the same level of high expectation that was placed on me as a good girl is what I placed on myself. And even though I would do some of the things that I knew would go against the grain of my family, I still harbored shame and guilt about it. And so I had to wind up doing a lot of forgiveness work on myself because I beat my own ass better than anybody else ever can.
Yeah.
And
All of us
down,
do, actually.
dumbed down, gave my power over to undeserving people. And so for me, being a cycle breaker means that I get to shift all of that. I get to stand in my power as a powerful, authentic, and responsible leader. And I get to teach what I've learned from the wisdom of my own experiences. I get to share with other people how to stand up for yourself, how to not fall into the gap and or the trenches or the boxes of other people's expectations, and how to hear from God, how to hear spirit speaking to you, speaking to your soul, speaking to your mind, your body, and your spirit. I feel like your mind, your body, and your soul every day of my life. Anyway, yes, that, but also being able to laugh at myself. I have been taking life so serious, had been taking life so serious that, not laughing, not bringing joy back into my life. And it's no mistake that my name is Ayodele. Joy returns to me. Joy comes home when I stand in my truth. Joy comes home when I see one person moving from point A to point B. It comes home when I'm able to synergize with a group of people on, social media, and be able to share my message with the world. And either you get it or you don't get it. That's cool. But I get to share it. And whatever way I'm able to turnkey this information and to be the example of standing in truth, doing the work and breaking cycles, teaching people about ownership, responsibility, and accountability for our own life, and then being able to hold others accountable and accept ownership and responsibility. So again, I don't want to talk to you, but I'm really passionate about this topic, and I want to hear from you. So I want to hear from you. So does anybody have anything they want to share, ask, offer?
So
All right.
Hello?
oh,
Who's
all right.
talking?
Hello? Can you guys hear me? I was on.
I hear Cheryl. I hear Cheryl. Yes.
Hey, yeah, I was in the Facebook group and then I just migrated over to the Zoom. Like I said, I wasn't able to really actively participate. I have a newborn. I'm trying to feed her and so forth.
Aw,
Oh, yeah.
bless her.
Thank you, thank you. So, but I'm actively, listening in. But I just want to say, as a new mom, and I'm, my own mother. I'm her third, her youngest child, and a lot of the talking points that you guys made, I was able to resonate with, in one aspect, as far as the generational curses go. I just, I feel as though the things that we learn, I've always heard experience is the greatest teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes things that our parents have told us, well, at least in my experience, my parents, they tried to, raise me the best they could. They weren't perfect. No one
Right.
is,
Mhm.
but there were a lot of things that I learned just, coming of age myself, and the things that made more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
even,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead. Sharon.
but basically, I mean, long story short, within that, um, and I said they raised me the best way that they could. There were things not just, in my immediate family, but in the expanse of my, aunties and them and uncles and other things that transpired before, sometimes we even got here, and we're born into them, experiences that they had, as far as, speaking of curses. So sometimes, I feel as though, when you're trying to break these curses and evolve and, um, uh, get past yourself and even get past some of the things that the trauma bonds that you had growing up. If those people are still around, sometimes like family reunions or things of that nature, you know, um, my question is, do you think it's wrong to cut off family members?
Do you?
I think it just I think it depends. It depends on the level of trauma that you dealt with in that family or with that particular family member.
Mhm. So I want to first acknowledge you for getting to the point, Cheryl, because
I know, right?
cycle breakers, as I said, are the interruption. And because I don't know you, I don't want to just interrupt your story because I don't know how many times you've told it. Um, and sometimes that matters because, if you're just recently getting something out, and even if it comes out in the form of a question, there's going to be some time needed to process that. But I will say this. Um, Family is not only the people you were birthed to, it's not only the people who you share blood with. And if in this process of breaking cycles and educating yourself about yourself, if what feels right to you in order for you to stand in your truth is to release somebody in love, that's in quotation marks, in love, for your own growth and development, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. Um, to put it another way, um, how open are you? How open and vulnerable are you in this moment to share what the hell you're talking about?
Yeah. Um, well, I'm here now, so I pretty much opened up Pandora's box. So
You didn't open up anything. You just asked the question.
yeah, yeah,
I'm hearing beneath what you're saying, but on this Zoom page that's being broadcasted Facebook Live, how open are you to exposing the story so that you can get the support that you need? Because I can only coach what you
yeah.
offer to me. You understand?
Basically, I'm gonna ask this. I personally am not the family member that's cutting anybody off. I am one of the family members that has been cut off.
You're
um,
the one that's been cut off. Mm-hmm.
and it's been some years, um, you know, that I had, basically I'll just put out there, I have a sibling who, I haven't seen her in in years, I think about 5 years now.
Mhm.
And, you know, we all grew up in the same household together. Doesn't mean we had the same experiences, but I never thought that this sibling would pretty much, just cut off the entire, cut off the family, cut off she's cut off her, people that didn't particularly have anything to do with what she said, what the issue was.
She just divorced the whole family. She cut all of y'all. I ain't working with none of y'all. That's what she said.
Right. And it's like, okay, I can understand if you have an issue with one person, two, whatever, those particular people. But why would you throw the baby out with the bathwater? That's not fair.
Because it's not your experience, it's hers. I don't know why she did that. Maybe there is a deep level of hurt and pain inside of her, or whatever it is for her that makes her feel like she can't associate with anybody. Sometimes when we do this work, we realize that there are family secrets and lies. We realize that there are issues in the family that are asked to be held dormant, and basically that stereotypical Tyler Perry, don't tell nobody my business, but it's real. I'm saying Tyler Perry because it's in all of his movies, but it's a real thing. It's a thing that happens. And when that happens and somebody is abused or hurt, or communication doesn't happen in a family, people can choose to protect themselves however they want to. My question to you though, Cheryl, is if your sister, if you want to rekindle a relationship with your sister, what have you done about it?
Oh boy, when it was clear to me that she didn't want to have anything to do with with us, I allowed her that, if that makes sense. I did not push. I did not try to change her mind. I did not, it hurt. And then when I think of, and it's still, it hurts me when I really think on it, because I love my sister. But
I'm sure you do.
I'm sure you do. I do. I love her very much. But, at the same time, I respect her. I'm angry. I am. I'm angry because I feel for some family members that including myself, that is not fair to. But at the same time, I'm not gonna put myself. I have enough on my plate, and I'm like, just like my grandma would say, sometimes you gotta love people from afar. You gotta live and let live. Love them through God. Love them through the good Lord. And I wish her happiness. I hope that she's happy, and I hope that the decision that she made is something that she can live with. But I cannot, for one, I can't put myself, I'm not trying to be rejected by her again. I've been, I'm the little sister. I've been, this is, for me, this is not new as far as feeling a sense of rejection from her.
Okay.
And
so she's your older sister, and you don't want to feel rejected by her. What's coming up for me is that there is a lot of judgment in your family, a lot of communicated judgment in your family. Is that accurate?
I wouldn't say communicate. I think there is a lack of communication. I'll say that there's a lack of communication. I wish my family was closer, as a whole, and I guess I don't want to get into, because this is live, I don't want to get into too much of detail, but, I mainly am seeking strategies where I can best cope and heal, because I've been within my own journey, and this is part of it, of an expanse of my own life, that I am, growing and trying to evolve and do my spiritual work and heal. And this is one of those big kahunas for me, is losing my sister. And should I, I have, family that say, hey, why don't, extended family, like, or friends that say, go and seek your sister out, go find her, or go talk to her and things like that. And I'm like, I already know what it is. I could go to her doorstep and she wouldn't even answer the door.
How do you know that? Have you ever done that before?
Yeah.
You went to her door and you knocked on it and she didn't answer?
Yeah. I had, maybe she wasn't home, but I just have a feeling, I just like, I sat there for a minute on her doorstep. I mean, I just sat there on the step, and that was the first time I cried, because that's when that was the moment I knew that, okay, she's not gonna answer anymore. She's gone, and even though she's still alive, it's just, she's made that decision. So you can't force people to do what they don't want to do, and I'm not that one to do that. Whether you're my sister, my mother, my brother, whatever. If you like I have that policy. You live and let live. If you know how I feel, and especially if
Cheryl, I'm going to interrupt you only because we only have a couple of more minutes, but I am happy to talk to you offline about your sister and all the shit you're not saying. So
yeah,
there is a lot of things that you're not saying. So we have one perspective of who your sister is from your mouth, but there's more that I hear beneath what you're saying, and it's not a right or a wrong, sis, so don't hear me like that. But there's way more that you're not sharing about that story that could inform coaching and guidance for you. I think my contact information is in the chat. So if you will, just look at that, and we can talk offline. I'll be happy to support you in unpacking that. But,
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm
welcome.
sorry, I didn't mean to
Don't be sorry. I asked for you to come on. I was like, somebody, and you came, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
So we are going to wrap up soon, but we have a minute or two do we have a minute or two? Does anybody else have a urging desire to finally say something in this moment? Yeah, so corny. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Robin, I have a comment from Ayodele responding to you on Facebook.
Yeah.
Sorry, give me one moment. She said in response to burnout, it shows up for her by shutting down and not being present in all the details of the things she's a part of.
The details of the things, it's overcommitting. Tell her that. Ayodele, my reflection, overcommitting, overcompensating, doing too much with the intent to be part of the solution. So I know Ayodele, so she can reach out to me also, and we can talk offline about that. Benita, you want to close us out? Uh-oh, she's on mute. Okay.
Yeah, I could relate to quite a few things. When I was younger, I would say yes to everything too. I had to learn, in order to save myself, not to say yes to everything without thinking,
Yeah.
And also the lady who was having a problem with her sibling, I also had a problem with me and my sister. But it seems like there's a time for things, after a time, when my parents passed and everything, I decided that she was the only one left that knew my story, So even though we're nothing alike, I think that was part of the problem. We're just nothing. If we weren't sisters, I love her, but we wouldn't be friends. We probably would never deal with each other.
Got it. Got it.
But there's still that love there. But since we had that, and if you would think that we grew up in two separate households. Her experience was nothing like mine. She saw things totally different. But sometimes time takes care of things. You know, we
That's
had
right.
we had to make peace with we made peace with each other. You know, so hopefully that'll happen for her too.
Ashe, Ashe, thank you so much, Miss Benita, for sharing. And I want to thank all of you. The work of a cycle breaker is never done. And we are always on anointed and appointed mission. And we always get to pick up where we left off. So with that said, I would love to support you in acknowledging your power as a cycle breaker. There is an upcoming workshop that I have on, it's a two-part workshop on July 10th and July 11th. I am offering a fantastic virtual quarantine fee of $97 for a workshop that is worth $600. And we have a group of people in a chat right now awaiting that date that is getting support right now for some of the things they're going through. So if you choose to come into that workshop, you will be supported prior to and after the support, the workshop, because as cycle breakers, we never leave anyone behind, and we make sure that we lift up and not push out. So with that, I thank you for this time. I thank you for your energy and your attention. And I thank you all for being a part of CycleBreaker. You are the light that you seek.
Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you so much, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
And just before you go, so the workshop that you have on July 10th and July 11th is a workshop on cycle breaking?
Yes, it's the same title as this, but it's the full version of this piece here. I'll put it in a chat, okay?
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you.